What's going on, everybody? Giraffe Anatomy here, coming at you with another quick guides to gods guide for Smite. So basically what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going over the next two gods in the alphabetical order. We went over Achilles and Agni already. We will be going over Muzen Cab and Puch. I almost forgot the names there for a second. But what we're going to do is we're just going to spend like 8 to 10 minutes on each god. We're going to do a very basic level overview of what their abilities are, how they operate within the game, some tips and tricks on how you can use them, and what roles like they best fit and everything within Smite. Once again, I'm not the best Smite player in the world, but I can definitely help new players learn the gods and just at a very basic level. It's normally for those that there's a lot of stuff in Smite when you first get into the game. It's very overwhelming. There's a lot of things in with all the items and stats and everything like that. We're not going to go into anything crazy today. We're basically just going to keep it super simple. Basically go over their 4 abilities, their passives, how to use them, and yeah. Basically, you should be able to, after this guide, pick the god up, take them into an arena or a slash or a joust or whatever game mode you prefer, be able to use them somewhat efficiently, just from what I'm able to show you today. So what we're going to do is we are going to go into some jungle practice here real quick. And we're going to pick the next god on the list here, which will be Muzen Cab. And yeah, let's get into it. And I'll always use the default skins for you guys, just so you're not confused on like what the abilities look like or anything like that when you jump in as well. So Muzen Cab is a carry. He's a hunter. And another name for this role is ADC, or all day carry, or attack damage carry. You will hear some people talk about it as basically he has a higher base attack than most people, and he does a lot of damage just by holding left click. So he has these range basic autos. And most people take these gods and they build attack speed and power on them, and they're able to do a ton of damage just by auto attacking. However, Muzen Cab is very unique in that his abilities do a lot of damage, and you can do a lot of damage with his abilities. So some people build him ability based as well, and you can still churn out a lot of damage to people if you do that. So just to let you know, things like the Crusher or Jotun's Dominance, Transcendence, these will be more ability based items that you'll build on him to do more damage with those. And then more of the auto attack builds are based off of like the shurikens or any of the bows, or Aussie or Kinsize or Executioner, right? So what I'll do first is just go through his abilities. I'll level all of these up real quick, and then we can talk about his passive. So Muzen Cab is all about the bees. No, not the bees, like Nick Cage, you know. Muzen Cab's all about the bees. He is the Lord of the Bees. So his passive here is bees. Enemies afflicted by bees. They take damage every 0.5 seconds for 2 seconds, are revealed on the minimap, and swarm nearby enemies. Basic attacks refresh and extend the duration of bees by 1 second. So this damage does not trigger item effects. So basically what this does is anytime you're near a hive, which we'll talk about his first ability here in a second, and you're doing damage to people, you're going to apply bees to them, right? So we'll talk about his first ability here, Hive. That's what I placed on the ground here. Hive basically is bees swarm at the ground target location, creating a hive that provides movement and attack speed buffs to Muzen Cab. He also heals for a small amount every second while he remains close to his hives. Hives reveal enemies within 20 units of them, and hives can only be destroyed by basic attacks. So as you can see, these are really important to Muzen Cab's kit. You can have up to 7 hives at once, so like a maximum of 7, and you'll see them like spread throughout the maps, right? You can do a couple here, but you can see this circle here, right? This is the radius of the hive, of this hive right here, and as long as you're in it, you're going to get an attack speed and a movement speed advantage. You can see once I go out of here, the numbers change on the left hand side. You can see how much slower I move here than instead of in my hives, right? Once I'm in my hive, I'm zooming. So very useful for our Muzen Cab to have these. It's always a good idea to hide these like on the other sides of walls. So if you're over here, you can hide a hive on the other side of the wall. The radius will still be here, and it's harder for somebody to, you know, get rid of. Like they really can't. If you hide them behind things and walls, and the radius is pretty big, so you can utilize them. And you normally always want to be in them and fighting them. We'll talk about Muzen Cab's second ability here, which is Swarm. Muzen Cab summons a large swarm of bees that fly forward in a path in front of him, dealing damage to all enemies hit and applying bees to them. Right? So obviously the damage goes up and the cooldown gets less as you level it up, but it's basically a line ability, right? Something that you have to hit. If you hit somebody outside, it will tick a little bit, but it won't do as much damage as if you had hives on them, right? So I'm going to do the same thing to Odin here again, the one that's inside the hives. And you'll see once I hit him, he's infected. And then what you can do, another thing about Muzen Cab, is if you are here and you're auto-attacking him after you've infected somebody with bees, you can extend that duration. You see I'm hitting 65, but you see that little 7 that's ticking there? That's because I'm using Muzen Cab's passive, which is I'm keeping him infected with bees, right? The auto-attacks refresh and extend the duration of bees by 1 second. So yeah, his third ability is Honey. So Muzen Cab sprays honey that lasts for 4 seconds at a movable ground target location, slowing all enemies in the area, bees from hives within 90 units, and Swarm will fly over to protect the honey, dealing damage every 0.5 second and applying bees to all enemies as they leave the honey. So basically you're using honey. Once again, I'll show you. If you do this, see how nothing's happening? They're only going to get slowed if they're not within a hive border, right? That circle there. They're only going to get slowed. But if you're within the hive border and you apply this, see how they're swarming him now? And he's getting that tick damage. Now he's infected. That's what happens when you use honey inside one of your hive radiuses here. So a good combo to use for Muzen Cab is you use your 3, then you swarm them too. It's compounding the bees effect from not only the hive, but the swarm. The swarm will go and protect the honey, right? So yeah. So basically, Muzen Cab, it's very easy. His kit's very easy. You're auto-attacking most of the time. You're going to use 3 to slow him down, get in range of your autos. You can swarm him here. Keep those bees applied to them by hitting your auto-attacks. And that's basically his first 3 abilities and the way you use them. One thing to note is with your hives, you can overcap on attack speed pretty easily if you're building all attack speed. It's sort of like a I don't want to say a free, but like a consistent attack speed stim that is on Muzen Cab. So items like Silver Branch Bow, where for each 0.02 attack speed you go over the 2.5 attack speed limit, you gain 2 physical power. This is really good on him. It's a way to build him. So let me just show you real quick. I'm gonna build Silver Branch, and I'm gonna build like all attack speed on him. So I'm already like just with this. Just with these 3 items, I'm already at 2.5 attack speed with 3 items when I'm inside one of my hives. I'm already over the cap because attack speed caps at 2.5. So you're already starting to get stacks on Silver Branch Bow. You're getting physical power out of this. So now if you want to cap it off and do something like a Oboe or like a Wind Demon, and then we'll even add like Crusher in there or something like that, right? Like I have a 28 stacks on that Silver Branch Bow. I'm gonna chunk. I'm doing a lot of damage just from that, right? So yeah, so this is how you use Muzen Cab. You're basically doing this. You're applying that. You're hitting the swarm while he's in the honey. He's slow a little bit. You're just doing your thing, right? This is how you use Muzen Cab most of the time. Now we'll get into his ultimate. His ultimate is Stinger. Muzen Cab fires an enormous stinger that deals damage to all enemies in a line, sticking to the first god that is hit. So you can use a stinger through minions, right, or a buff camp, but once it hits a god, it will stop. And it will apply bees, slowing, crippling, and decreasing their physical protections for 3 seconds. If the target dies, or after 3 seconds, the stinger falls in the ground for 4 seconds. If Muzen Cab picks up his stinger, he gains a significant cooldown reduction to stinger. So this thing is great. I'm sick of this message. So I'm just buying some relics real quick. Let me put some hives down here. I will show you how Stinger works here with Neath. So basically, when you hit somebody with a stinger, you cripple them, which means they can't use movement abilities. So if they have a leap, a jump, and escape ability, they won't be able to use it for 3 seconds if you hit them with the stinger. Gives you a great opportunity to hit them with the stinger. You normally start fights with the stinger with Muzen Cab. Once you get that, you're able to throw out honey, or it's probably like a honey stinger, and then you do a swarm and then auto attacks and stuff like that. But yeah, so let's get Neith in here. She normally backflips, so I'll show you what she does. After she does this, she'll backflip, right? If you're able to hit her with the honey, and you do this, and the stinger, well, it murders the crap out of her, so I guess I didn't really get to show you. But she won't be able to backflip. And look at how low that cooldown is now on that stinger. It's literally almost back up after I already hit it. So I'll show you again real quick. I'll start the fight with the stinger for Neith. So she's not able to backflip when I do that. She's not able to move. And if I go and pick this up, instead of 93 seconds... Oh, see, I didn't get to pick it up. You'll have like 4 seconds to pick it up. But yeah, basically you can see the difference between the cooldown timers if you do pick it up versus you don't. I didn't pick it up that time, so obviously the cooldown is way longer. But yeah, with Muzen Cab, you normally can engage a fight with the stinger, or you can do like a honey, slow them down so they're easier to hit. Then you're using the stinger. And yeah, just some tips and tricks on how to use him, like how to utilize him in lane and stuff like that. Muzen Cab can basically, when you're in lane, you'll use your 3 to clear the honey, your 3 and your hives. See how much damage that's doing, even without me autoing him. I should get rid of Golden Blade here real quick, or Odysseus Bow, sorry. Sell this. I'll just get like a... So I will show you with just a hive and bees, the wave is getting cleared. I know some people that use a strategy with Muzen Cab where they will literally level their 3 first in lane in Conquest because it clears minions very safe. Muzen Cab doesn't have an escape ability, so he is vulnerable to ganks and things like that. You kind of want to play back as much as possible. You can normally, well, that sucked, but you can normally get your bees really far up without you having to be up there. So I'll show you guys in a second here. Your bees can go pretty far. You can like flick it up like that, and you're still like pretty safe in lane, and it will clear it for you. So with some hives and like honeys, you're getting that 61 damage per tick, and the slow on people is a really good lane pressure ability, and a lot of people use this to zone with Muzen Cab like really effectively, right? They're able to just like hang back, use hives, clear the minion waves, that kind of stuff. You can also clear it with swarm as well. So when the minions come up, you can use a combination of the honey and the swarm. I actually wonder how many hives I have already. I want to get rid of this one. I want to show you guys basically what it's like without it, because you can use honey and swarm together without the hives. I have too many hives. If you put honey down first and then swarm, you don't need a hive around you to use it. So you should be fine. Once again, you can have 7 of these things. You keep putting them down until one goes away. So that should be all 7. I think the next one here I will be able to put down, then they'll start disappearing. So once you put down 7, they'll start disappearing. See how that one went away? The one that was here. That's basically just what happens when you start putting down more than 7. The first one you ever put down will disappear, and the new one will pop up. So one more, I think, right? A new hive. So let me show this to you real quick. Cool. So the last thing I wanted to show you was just minions. You don't have a hive, so the honey won't work by itself, but if you do swarm, you will get that damage on top of it. So yeah, that's the very basic basics of Muzen Cab. Let's get at a game real quick, and I'm going to take you guys to our next god on the list, which is going to be Puch. Danny Phantom hanging out there, man. All right. So let's get into the next god, Puch. Puch. All right, so Puch. Once again, he's a mage. Puch is in a unique scenario where sometimes he's either super overpowered or super underpowered in certain game modes. But he's a mage that has no escape, so he's really easy to dive and gank and things like that. But this guy is anti-heal incarnate. You know how all your teammates are like, buy anti-heal, buy anti-heal? Puch literally has it in his whole kit, so you don't have to worry about it as much with him. He will anti-heal the crap out of you. So really quick, let's just go through his abilities. We'll start by talk about his passive, Hallowed Ground. Puch is closely attuned with the dead and may exhume corpses at his will. When walking over a decayed corpse, Puch lowers the cooldown of Undead Scourge and Corpse Explosion by 2 seconds, restores 7% of his maximum health and 3% of his maximum mana. So Puch has a great sustain in lane by using his abilities. And he's able to walk over corpses when he needs them or explode them when he needs them too. So just a quick thing, like his thing's all about these dead corpses. I'll show you in a sec. This passive over here is just how many corpses you can have out at once. So you can have 6 at one time. And we'll go over his first ability here, which is Undead Surge. So Puch raises up 2 decaying corpses from the underworld. They surge forward, exploding on anything that they touch. When they reach max distance or whenever Puch reactivates Undead Surge, dealing damage and slowing targets hit. Enemies hit also have their healing reduced by 40% for 5 seconds. The corpse collapse after exploding, remaining behind. So basically what you're doing is, if you hit somebody with it, they get that explosion, you see the damage, and the corpses stay there. If you want to see Puch's passive, he basically walks over them and he regains mana. You can see I got mana there when I redid them. If they don't hit anything, they will still stay there, and you can still do the same thing. You can suck them back up for your mana. This provides anti-heal, right? Enemies hit have their healing reduced by 40%, so you're already, like, if you're hitting somebody with this ability, somebody like Anubis who does a lot of healing, you're able to provide that anti-heal to him just with your abilities. Normally, like, you need a Divine Ruin or something like that to apply that type of anti-heal to somebody, but Puch has it in his kit. So now they have 2 corpses on the ground. Let's talk about his second ability, Corpse Explosion. So Puch causes the target area to explode, dealing damage. Corpse Explosion also causes any decaying corpses in the area to explode. So you can use Corpse Explosion by itself. 72 damage, right? That's it all by itself. Or if you have bodies on the ground already, you can use them to explode those bodies and do much more damage. You saw the 72 plus the, I think it was like 111 for each corpse that was there. So yeah, basically using this to explode the bodies makes it way more powerful. And if 4 are in the area together and you use Corpse Explosion, all 4 of those are exploding. So watch all these numbers hit Odin. Look at that. There's a ton of damage. So if you're able to strategically place corpses around the map, you will be able to have people like denial of area opportunities, right? Where you're basically denying, like, they're not going to walk near those corpses because you can basically just use your Corpse Explosion on it. They don't want to take damage, that kind of stuff. Or you can trap them into, like, place some corpses behind them, come back to like the tower. They're in between you and the corpses, place another 2, and they go to run away from those ones, and there's other 2 in the back, and you get them with that, right? So if I'm fighting somebody like this and I get some behind them and we're here, and then I, place the, I'll talk about the third ability here in a second. But I've been doing this to him and he's running away. I could snag him on the back end as he's running towards me, right? Because those corpses were back there. His third ability is basically just Fleeting Breath. It's a single corpse that he summons. So Puch throws a charm from the underworld, which awakens a decaying corpse that applies miasma to targets in an area and falls to the ground, remaining behind. Targets take damage every second. After the duration, targets take additional damage and are stunned if they were healed by an ability during the initial duration. So basically what this does is if you do that, see the little symbol on him? That just means if they get healed during that time frame, you basically get this this to kick in, which is targets take additional damage and are stunned if they were healed by an ability during the initial duration. So somebody like Hercules who self-heals and stuff like that, if you're able to hit him with this at the right time and he's using his 3, which heals him, he will get stunned and he will take extra damage from that. So the same thing, right? I basically did 2 corpses there. I could do another 2 real quick here. I could throw a 5th. That's 5 corpses. I have 1 more left. You can see his passive working right here. Before I get as many as I can on the field out at once. I'll get this 3rd. Now remember, if I do this, right, and I go and walk over one of these, see how the cooldown's going down on my 1? If I walk over all these, that cooldown goes like way down, right? You take, what, 2 seconds off each cooldown when you do that? And I also think if I did this, it works on my 2 as well. So my 1 and my 2, when I pick up corpses, they get that cooldown. That's from his passive here. So Puch lowers the cooldown of Undead Surge and Corpse Explosion, which are his 1 and his 2, by 2 seconds, as well as restoring the mana if he's walking over those corpses. So yeah, we're basically going to place these down, do that. That's his basic combo, right? It's like a 2-3, or 1-3-2 is a good combo for him. Like you normally only want to use your 2 after you've had a corpse somewhere, right? This one here slows, so it's easier to hit them with this, right? And then basically you want to hit your 2 after you like slow them with like your 1 and stuff like that. It makes them a little bit easier to hit. His last ability is his ultimate here. Puch, empty the crypts. Puch unleashes an army of wraiths from the 9th hell that swarm forward and reduce healing and deal damage to enemies they collide with. So basically you can do a maximum of 3 stacks. So if he's hit by 3 of these things, you get 20% healing reduction per stack. So it's a total of 60% healing reduction if you're hitting them with your swarm, if they get the stacks on them, right? There's a lot of them, you'll see. It's pretty hard not to get hit by 3 of them in this ultimate. So yeah, so basically this is his ult. 1, 2, 3. Yep, see, he's already stacked, right? So now he has 60% healing reduction this whole time. So let me just go back in here and reset the cooldowns on everything real quick. Get some mana. And I'll show you normally what I do. Like with Puch, when I'm in a game, I'm literally, it's like a 2-3-2, or sorry, a 1-3-2 combo. You can do 1-2 and then like a 3-2, but the more bodies you have, the more damage you're gonna use, right? So you can try and hit him with this, but he doesn't slow from the 3. It's just from the 1 that he slows, and it's easier to hit this, his 2 with it. So you're doing some sort of combo like that, right? You want a body, and then you want to use your 2. You're really saving this until you've hit him with either the 3-1 or the 2, or the 1 first. So you're basically doing that, do that, do that. Cool. This is, his ult is a great denial of area ult, right? You're doing damage to people, like a ton of damage per wraith. So if people are diving you under tower or something like that, you can use your ultimate and you're like hanging out in it the whole time, right? And you're able to basically like really fight and turn team fights with that ult. It's a great team fighting ult with him. And then yeah, you basically would pick him or use him when there is a lot of healing on the enemy team. If they have like an Afro, Hercules, like an ADC that like Cernanos that does a lot of healing, you'll be able to utilize him very, very well. So yeah, that's about it. That's for these 2. Once again, yeah, we spend about like 10-11 minutes on each god there. If you guys have any other questions or anything, leave them in the comment below. I'd be happy to respond. If you guys want a more in-depth god guide on like builds and stuff like that, I'm happy to do that. We're going to be doing a build video here shortly, which we're going to go through every single item, and we're going to talk about like what it's used for, how you build it with other items, like what sort of gods it's used for specifically. But if you want specific build guides for specific gods, we can also go over that as well. But yeah, this is a basic high level view of both Muzen Cab and Puch. So I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next time. Peace out, y'all.